everyone. Welcome to another episode of Entrepreneur Success Stories, where we delve into the journeys of successful entrepreneurs and uncover the secrets that fuel the success. I'm your host, Atena Pegler, guiding you through the world of marketing and branding. Today, we are thrilled to have a truly special conversation with none other than Joe Foster, the original founder of Reebok. Joe's story is a shining example of vision and innovation in the highly competitive world of apparel and footwear. From his humble beginnings in England, Joe transformed a small family-owned business into a global powerhouse, forever changing the landscape of sports footwear. Along the way, he faced numerous challenges, but his pioneering spirit and belief in the power of branding and marketing helped Reebok to become a household name. Today, Joe will share insight from his journey, discuss the impact of artificial intelligence on the apparel industry, and offer advice to early adopters looking to carve out their own path to success. Thank you.
Oh, nice to meet you. We just started. That's a very interesting room you're in there. Very nice and modern.
No problem. To introduce myself, I'm Atena. So I own a marketing agency. I've been a marketer for 13 years. And I recently developed a lot of things with AI, basically revolutionized the way that the marketing work with AI. So that's my expertise. Really, really nice to meet you. Pleasure
Nice to
to
meet
have you
you
here today. So Reebok has been a pioneer in the athletic footwear and apparel industry for decades. So can you share a defining moment or decision that you believe was the pivotal in setting Reebok apart from its competitors like Adidas and Nike during the early days?
Oh, I think that when we set off for the company, it was just trying to be successful because we left we left the family business because the family business really was dying. It was going down, and we couldn't persuade my father to change anything. And of course, he was 50% owner of the business with his brother, and they didn't speak. So we decided that we would step out and do something ourselves. So in doing that, it was really a slow process. We didn't say we have a brilliant idea on what to do, and we didn't. We just knew we could make sports footwear, and we just had to step away from the parent company. So well, I guess that because we didn't have any money at the time, we had to bootstrap our way through for the first 20 years. It was so all these decisions were difficult, difficult in as much as will we succeed or not? Well, I guess that with my brother, he wanted to look after the factory. He loved the factory. He loved making shoes. I didn't particularly like making shoes, and so it was up to me to do everything else. That was it. Jeff was sort of saying, "You do everything else." So marketing and sales, all the developing of a company structure was up to me, and I guess that I just loved the challenge. And so really, did we become different? Well, we did become different, mainly because we started to enjoy the challenges. We had to change our name from Mercury to Reebok. We had to change our silhouette from two straps and a T-bar to the Vector. And what we found, and what I liked, is the challenges. They became opportunities rather than something difficult. All of a sudden, okay, so we didn't want to change our name, but then we ended up with a better name, and we didn't particularly want to change our silhouette, but we did end up with a better silhouette. So anything that came along that seemed to be a problem, we began to look at it as, wow, these are opportunities. And I think that may have been the difference that we had, because we grew with opportunities rather than with good financial backing. We were not able to get into the soccer market because Adidas were big at that time. They were a big company. They're still a big company, but we were very small, and we didn't have the money to do that. So we had to look for white space, places which were either too small for companies like Adidas and Nike, or they were very close to us. Within 50 miles of our factory, we knew everybody. So we were able to take that business just purely and simply because we could be there. We could be on site. We could be organizing athletic events. So I think that what made us different was maybe the early days were tough. finding those spaces, being able to work in those areas. Not for us, Nike were in America, and that was the big market. So they had a head start, that they had a big market there. Adidas had been around for a long time. So Adidas, they had been in the American zone after the war, and a lot of American servicemen were over in Germany, so they helped Adidas to grow. Although it might sound so that they grew with a lot of the American servicemen, and then the American servicemen, when they went back to the USA, they took the brand with them. So that helped Adidas. And we started when we had two big, well, certainly Adidas were the big one, and Nike had the big market. So, so those were the challenges. And it's difficult over that 20 years start, very difficult to say exactly, what defined us. Getting into America by having 5-star shoes, that was brilliant. And then finding aerobics is probably the one thing that really made the Reebok brand, because we actually pivoted from being a very small running brand, $9 million running brand. We pivoted and we became a $900 million women's brand. So women defined us, and that was the difference. And the problem is for Adidas, and the problem for Nike, is they were already perceived as male, team, and sweaty, whereas women don't sweat, they glow, and we were able to make them glow with our aerobic shoes.
Oh, that's amazing. So was it all planned that it's gonna be attracted by women, or it wasn't planned at all?
No, that wasn't planned at all. It's a matter of process. We were only a small company when we discovered aerobics. And being a small company, we were known to an extent in the running fraternity, but only in running and track and field. And we were not known to the general public. What happened when we came on aerobics, Adidas and Nike, they were perceived already as something, as male, as team. And so for them to look and start making women's shoes, I think they hesitated. They stepped back and said, no, we are performance. And aerobics is not performance. And in a way, it is not performance. Aerobics is fitness. So
Yeah.
we became known as a fitness company of lifestyle. So instead of being performance driven, we were lifestyle driven. And this made a difference. Although we were in the sporting goods business, we really took on the fitness side of the business. And because we made the shoes specifically for women, we didn't make it for men. It was on a woman's last, only in women's sizes. And as such, men looked on it with a bit of envy, because the shoes were made out of very soft leather. And normally, up until that point, sports footwear, the leather was quite stiff and needed breaking in. You'd have to wear your shoes for a while and soften them up by wearing them. Whereas you could put on a pair of Reebok shoes and they were soft right from the beginning. So we changed a few things. And the men couldn't get those products until we were 3 years into the aerobics when we brought out a fitness shoe for men, which was, I think it's Reebok Workout. And that was the first time men got into these nice soft shoes. But by that time, we were $1 billion company.
Wow, it's so impressive. That's amazing. So reflecting on the Reebok's marketing strategy through the years, has it been any particular campaign that you believe was the most instrumental in defining the Reebok's brand identity, and why?
Well, I think that we did change that. Like as I say, with Nike and Adidas and Puma, they were performance driven, just performance, and that was their marketing. Their marketing was influencers, athletes, and those athletes formed the biggest part, and still do, the biggest part of their marketing. Whereas with Reebok, again, we didn't go head to head by taking on a lot of athletes. We did have athletes, but really, once we got into aerobics, that was that changed the market. We moved things to one side. We became lifestyle. All of a sudden, from being performance, lifestyle. And what happened in lifestyle is it took sports footwear onto the street, and
Yeah.
so many people were wearing this now on the street as a lifestyle product and fitness, and that was what. So we had that difference, and we took it into music, we took it into film. These were our influences. When Jane Fonda went out and actually bought a pair of aerobic shoes to wear in her videos, and that just sent it. It just went crazy. You know, the demand for the product was incredible,
Oh, that's
and
amazing. So you found a niche that wasn't competitive.
that's right. We found the niche, and it was a process because we were not a large company when we found that niche, but it did propel us. In 4 years, it propelled us from the 9 million to the 900 million. I mean, that was all of a sudden we were a big player, and we were part of that. And then we overtook Nike, we overtook Adidas, and we became the number one global sports brand. And by that time, we'd moved into the NFL, we moved into basketball. So we had moved into these other sports. So I guess we did have a bit of a drama at one point. We were growing. I think 90% of our business was aerobics, and we had to consider how do we where do we move from there, because you can't think of aerobics continuing to grow all the time. So we had to move into performance sport. And so but that was a process. And by that time, we had a good revenue. You know, we were, like we said, we were over $1 billion company before Adidas and before Nike. So then at that point, we were able to become performance as well.
So impressive. So how do you think the artificial intelligence will affect the apparel industry, particularly footwear, in the next 5 to 10 years? And additionally, how could those early adopters could position themselves for the significant success?
It's going to be amazing times to know where artificial intelligence is going to work. As far as manufacturing is concerned, we already have automated machinery. Whether it might be design, might become part of design, might change things. If you look at apparel and look at footwear, there is not much which is highly technical. It's not highly technical. It's very, I don't know what I'm wrong to say, but it's probably one of the easiest things to produce. You know, we're not producing anything very difficult like a car or rockets or something like that. We're not producing something that requires an awful lot of change and an awful lot of technology. Whether different materials come out of AI, which it would be interesting, I don't know. That's something that we have to wait. But I mean, AI is taking over so much in publishing, you know, and
Marketing.
well, marketing in particular, because we have the book Shoemaker. We have somebody now who wants to do the translations into all the different languages. We have about 10 already, which have been translated, but there are lots of others. I mean, I don't know how many languages in the world, but there's a lot, maybe 100 different languages, and that can be done by AI. So those, which again is part of marketing, that can take over. AI can probably take that over. Influencing, because they can actually use the voice by just reading one paragraph. They could use my voice to make audios in different languages, which is amazing. So there's a lot of ways in which AI, I think, is going to influence. But when you think about sport is really about human effort, human challenges. And I think that with sport, we probably won't, maybe in the product, but certainly in sport itself, I don't think AI is going to be able to help. You know, maybe coaching, I don't know, but really it is up to human effort. So maybe what AI will do, it will push more people into sport, more people into something which is just human effort, rather than taking over from humans. And so it's interesting that during our lifetime, since 1958, we never experienced any downturn in the industry. We always were always growing. It was always growth. There was never any time when we had a recession, which I suppose is quite unusual. The only time really when it did have a problem was during COVID, when nobody was buying products. So Every company had a problem then. But otherwise, we never moved into recession. So I think what we're going to see is more and more people watching, participating, sport themselves. Actually, more sports will develop in different ways. I mean, we see this now. We see this in the game of cricket, which nobody could understand why it took 5 days to have a game. One game took 5 days. Nobody could understand that now. But now they've changed the formats. They've added different formats where they have 20 overs, so each side has 20 overs. So that is changing because there's a need for more areas of sport. We now have pickleball, and pickleball is a more available type of tennis. It's more available, and I think we're going to see a lot more different variations on sports that more people can participate in at different levels. So I think we're going to see a lot of that, which means that the sports footwear industry has plenty of opportunity to expand for the future.
Yeah. So finally, for our listener who are aspiring entrepreneurs, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs about building a brand and staying relevant in a ever-changing technology-driven market? Because the market is constantly changing, and how could they, build that brand and stay relevant?
Well, I think there are two definitions here. One is, as an entrepreneur, what would you actually go into? And we just described that going into sport, that is going to be something which is going to expand. The other one is technology. What is going to be driven by the technologies that AI will bring us? And AI are obviously going to bring us an awful lot. So it's a matter of whether you're going into the technological side of it, where AI will drive. I'm sure a lot of business will be driven. I believe, in fact, I think Julie was just saying that by 2026, we will have electric air taxis in Dubai. They'll take from the airport to the Palm. So it's those sort of things which are going to develop. And you can look at the car industry itself. Is the car industry going to die? Because are we going to get air taxis? Are drones going to become taxis? Are people going to fly around in drones as against driving cars? I mean, already we know in many, many big cities, the traffic is incredible. You can't move in big cities because it's so dense with traffic. So there's a lot of things that might be changing, which can be changed by scientific technology and improvement. And then, but I do think the sports industry is going to find a lot more participation and a lot more people spectating, and that will be good for the sports industry.
No worries. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
It's an absolute pleasure. Absolutely.
What an enlightening conversation with Joe Foster, the visionary behind Reebok. His journey from the ground up to the leading one of the most iconic footwear brands in the world is nothing short of inspiring. Joe's insight into the future of the apparel industry and the critical role of early adoption in leveraging artificial intelligence highlight the endless possibilities for entrepreneurs willing to embrace innovation. Thank you, Joe, for sharing your invaluable experiences and wisdom with us. And thank you to our listener for tuning into Entrepreneur Success Stories. I'm Atena Pekle, and it has been a pleasure guiding you through this exploration of marketing and branding success. Remember, the journey of thousands miles begins with a single step. Let Joe's story inspire you to take the next step forward on your success story. Until the next time, stay inspired and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.